reached the quarter pole here in the NFL season, and it's great to have you with us here for Saints Tonight on CST with my Super Bowl champ, Scott Shanley. I'm Victor Howell. Deuce McAllister will join us momentarily from the Meadowlands. He'll join our Saints insider, Mike Neighbors, and give us his thoughts on what he saw today on the call of the game. Scott, the Saints go to 3-1. Look, with the way it started at home, all the excitement about the season, then the disappointment. You're at the quarter pole, you're 3-1. Forget about how it started with that first game. You're in a pretty good position right now.
Absolutely. I think you see a little bit of last year's results with this team. The ascension from week 1 to week 4 continue to get better every single week. It hasn't been pretty, but it's a bottom line business, win and loss business, and they're finding ways to win. Each week I see a little bit of improvement in certain aspects of the game, and you're getting wins. Every team I've ever been on, you put those seasons up, you break it down into quarters, just like you said, Victor. The goal is to be 3-1 in each one of those quarters, be 12-4. You'll be sitting pretty good at the end of the season.
Yeah, looking good. And oh, by the way, if you haven't been on social media, Mark Ingram is back, and boy, is he making it known that he's ready to join the team and get back on the field. But first things first, the fourth game of the season up in the Meadowlands against the Giants. Let's take you there and show you how things panned out. It was a very interesting first half, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. We talked this morning about all of the weapons that New York has that you have to pay attention to. How about Odell Beckham on the end around? We talked so much about his receiving, but here he goes, 10 yards on the end around and a first down for the Giants. Eli Manning out of the shotgun finds Rhett Ellison right in the middle of the field. That's good for 11 yards. He drags a couple of defenders with him and gets another first down. First and 10 from the 40, and Manning's going to go to Sterling Shepard, that other receiver we focused on this morning. That's 10 yards, but wait a minute. Scott, we're going to add on to this because of the face mask.
Yeah, these are little things that get you in trouble. You can't make these plays early in the game, especially on the road. Ken
Crowley with the call, add on the extra yardage. Third and goal from the 2. Shepard gets the touchdown reception. 10 plays, 75 yards, 4:59. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. 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 Gotcha. 7-0 Giants on that 5-minute drive. 4th and 2 now for the Saints. Thomas Morstead. Taysom Hill on the fake in their own territory. How about that call early in the ball game? Hill to Justin Hardy for 10 yards. Makes the completion. Boy, Sean Payton rolling the dice early. Mike Westhoff excited about the success there. Keeps the drive going. Breeze to Josh Hill, 2nd and 8. This is good for 20 yards, middle of the field. First down in the Saints or Giants territory. 3rd and 13 from the New York 16. Breeze, that's trouble. Jailbreak right up the middle. The Giants defense gets to him. It's a loss of 8, so here comes Will Lutz. 4th and 21. So we're going to kick the field goal, and Lutz from 42 yards out, and it's good. Or is it? No, the clock hit 0 before the snap. New York's only possession in the first quarter was the one that went 4:59 for a touchdown. Those points do not go on the board officially. It's 7-0 New York after the first quarter. So how else do you start the second quarter? With another 4th down, and here comes the kick. This one will count. 15 plays, 51 yards. It eats up 8.5 minutes off the clock. A lot of work and a lot of effort for those 3 points, but Lutz is good. And this time it counts. It's 7-3 New York. 3rd and 11 now for the Giants. Manning back to pass. Odell Beckham bobbles, loses, runs the wrong way, and look at the color rush jerseys coming to close in on him. When it's all said and done, that was a lot of running around for a loss of 8 yards, and Odell Beckham Jr. is not pleased. Saints get the ball back. Now look, it's Taysom Hill again on the keeper. Runs it right side, barrels over somebody. It's a 19-yard gain for Hill. 1st and 10 at the 45 of New York. Breeze back in the normal position at quarterback. He finds Josh Hill. He gets a great gain for 22 yards, and the Saints are moving. But once again, they stall 16-yard line, so it's 4th and 15. And Will Lutz, once again, is good. 34 yards out, 9 plays, 69 yards in 3.5 minutes. But the Saints still trail by 1. 1st and 10 from their 49, and Manning to Wayne Gallman for 4 yards, and that's trouble. That ball is loose, and that is Marshawn Lattimore taking it the other way. Picks up the fumble on the bounce. Could have gotten into the end zone. Was that Eli Manning that caught him and knocked him out of bounds? I think he's going to get some, he's going to get some grief about that.
For that.
Man, Eli's not known for his wheels, but he gets Lattimore. But you're in that close, and guess what? It's another field goal. Will Lutz from 27 yards. Or is it? Here's holding on the offense. Take the points off the board, and let's do it all over again. For the 5th time in the ball game, Lutz is kicking. 37 yards out, and it's good. Saints are up 9-7, but technically Will Lutz has kicked for 15 points. Just can't get them all to count. 2nd and 8 now of the 45. Breeze to Alvin Kamara, left side. Look at him, just so smooth. Wait, you want to see smooth. Wait to see the play later. 25 yards on the game. 1st and goal now from the 8. Hill. He's looking to pass, and it goes over Kamara's hands. He can't bring it in, so Taysom Hill with the incompletion. Drew Brees on 3rd down to Ben Watson. In his hands. Touchdown, no, he dropped it. So Lutz comes back onto the field. 6th kick of the game, and it's good. 25 yards on this effort. In the half, the Saints have the lead 12-7. So, Scott, let's pause right there for a moment and take a look at this. Because New Orleans had 164 yards on 34 plays. The Giants had 97 yards at the half. But remember, 75 came on that opening drive. So the defense shuts them down. And yet, after all that work, you're not even leading by a touchdown. It's 12-7 thanks to Will Lutz with 6 kicks and only 4 of them counted because of the penalty. So take me into the locker room. You're on the field. You've played these games. 30 minutes in, all that work, and you're going, wait a minute, it's only 12-7? Yeah. What's the evaluation going on?
As a player, you're frustrated. I'm sure the message the coach has got across right away is, guys, we're winning. It's great. We're on the road. We're playing in a tough place. But it's 12-7. We should be up 28-7. And every player in that locker room is a little bit frustrated knowing that they could really have that game handled. When you get in the red zone 4 times and you kick 4 field goals in the second quarter, it's frustrating. You're encouraged because the defense, like you said, they went down. They gave up that opening drive. Things are looking bad. The fake punt really turned that game around. There's a lot of plays in the game, but really, Coach Parcells, Coach Payton, they always say 5 or 6 plays in a game can dictate a game. I think that fake punt early on changed momentum.
And how much does that give the players the call? Because not only was it a fake punt, it was a fake punt. You weren't even deep in your own territory, but you were at the midway point. I mean, if that doesn't work, you've given them a lot of easy access to the end zone. So as a player, does that give you a little something extra knowing he's willing to roll the dice like that?
I think so. I think it's just like we looked at in the Super Bowl all week long. We were working on this ambush onside kick, and you're thinking he's crazy. But when it works, it's a huge swing in the game. And to call that fake punt that far back in the game, and you're right, if it doesn't work, you potentially go down 14-0 on the road against a Giants team that needs a win. So it was a risky call, but I think it's a lot of faith in the players that are running those plays. They saw it enough in practice throughout the week, and they believe that Taysom Hill. The nice thing about Taysom Hill is not only can he throw it, but I'm sure they told him if the guy's covered, you're fast enough to outrun the punt return team. So you either throw it or you run it, and they have that confidence in Taysom Hill.
So time of possession at the half, advantage Saints. Total yardage, advantage Saints. Will Lutz, advantage Saints because of his kicking, but 5 penalties. And as Scott mentioned, the lack of success in the red zone to punch it in the end zone makes it a 12-7 game. So let's go to the second half and show you how things develop because the Saints started to take control just a little bit more here. Giants have the ball as we pick it up. 2nd and 5 on their own 43. Demario Davis, he's going to chase down Eli Manning. Where are those wheels that knocked Lattimore out of bounds? It wasn't there that time. Davis catches him. It's a loss of 9 yards. Saints get the ball. 1st and 10 from their own 20. Kamara, right side, makes 1 cut. Look at before you know it, he's 15 yards down the field. 18 yards on that carry, move the chains. 1st and 10 from the 38. Michael Thomas. Yep, 1 for 1. He's got that reception, 15 yards, and another 1st down. Remember that Ben Watson drop that we saw a little earlier towards the end of the second quarter in the end zone? Not this time. 2nd and 8 from the 45. Breeze up top. There's Watson. Great catch to bring it in. 23 yards on the completion. It all leads to this. 1st and goal from the 9. Will Lutz, take a seat, except you want to come in and kick the point after. This time it's good. Touchdown run for Kamara. 7 plays, 80 yards, 317. That's the type of efficiency we're used to seeing from the Saints, and it's 19-7, a little breathing room. Saquon Barkley, we talked about how special he was this morning. And doing here, Scott, exactly what you said you can't let him do. Bounce to the outside.
He's got this breakaway speed. They did a good job cutting him off and pushing him out of bounds, but that was really his only long run of the day.
28 yards was the distance on that one. This time now it's Manning to Beckham. Now he's not so frustrated. Gets a little completion, tries the stiff arm. It's good for 12 yards. 1st and 10 from the 37. Manning to Sterling Shepard. This goes 23 yards left side, and he's got yards between him and the closest defender. And the Giants are in business. 4th and 10, though. Their drive actually stalls. So they kick a field goal. 33 yards out, and it's good. A 10-play, 73-yard drive with just 3 on the board for New York for the first time since the opening drive of the game. And we head to the 4th. Saints are up 19-10. And we pick up the 4th with the Saints with the ball at 3rd and 9 from their own 27. And Breeze out of the gun. The quick look to Kamara. Goes again. get it, and the Giants get him at the 3. You think Sean Payton is happy? You don't want to be sitting at the table next to him right now. So the Saints have the ball at the 3, and Tony Romo's talking about how the Saints are going to run it. Evidently, Romo hasn't studied Drew Brees. First down from the 3. Brees rolls out of trouble. Just a 21-yard pass to Josh Hill to get out of the shadows of the end zone. 3rd and 8 from the 26 now, and Brees has to convert, looks for Cam Meredith, and Meredith incomplete. But then the flag comes in. Pass interference. You see, Drew knows it already. It's a first down. Scott, we take another look at how Meredith got it.
Yeah, as a defensive player, I complain all the time about the pass interference in the league, but this is absolutely pass interference. He's tugging on his jersey. He makes that catch if he doesn't have that resistance right there.
So the drive stays alive, and then now this is smooth. I mean, Scott, it looks like he's jogging at this point.
It looks effortless, and that's what's every time you watch him run, he's running away from people who are premier athletes, and it's just effortless, and that's the athleticism and talent he has.
Four blue jerseys were going after him. Look how he was jogging. They couldn't catch him. Kamara scores from 49 yards out, 134 rushing yards on the day for Kamara. Add 5 more catches for 47 yards. Drew Brees, 18 of 32 for 217 yards, no touchdowns. Guess this, the last 3 times that Drew Brees has thrown for no touchdowns. Last season at Buffalo, last season against Chicago, today against the Giants, the Saints are 3-0. Wow. Didn't have to punch it in the end zone through the air, but it was enough for the Saints to get a 33-18 win. An outstanding afternoon again for Saquon Barkley, who gets 100 yards, but it's not enough for the Giants. And as we mentioned, at the quarter pole, the Saints sit at 3-1, coming back home for a Monday night game against Washington.
Thought we played well today and tonight in a lot of areas. I thought we felt the battle of the line of scrimmage was going to be important. Thought we won that. Made the big play in special teams. I thought that was important. We stole a possession there. I was proud of how we played defensively, and we had one drive, really, the starting drive, and then towards the end of the game. But I thought we played one of our better complementary games. Time of possession, turnovers, all of those things kind of went in our favor. And when you do that, you're probably going to win more than you lose.
Every week it's a new adventure for you this time around. Quarterback, wide receiver, running back. Was that fun?
So much fun. Look, again, I go back. Any opportunity to get on the field is so much fun. And I came here as a quarterback, thinking I get the opportunity to learn from Drew, and it's been such an honor, so much fun for me.
You guys had trouble in the red zone and third down in the first half, but then turned it completely opposite in the second half. What was the difference?
Since the urgency we came in the huddle, we knew we had to just make our plays, and we came out and we made our plays and responded. That's it.
Michael Thomas still keeps adding to his NFL record now, 42 receptions in the first 4 games, most ever, as he's been keeping ahead of that margin since week 1 of the season. 4 targets today, 4 catches for number 13. So before we talk about Taysom Hill in just a moment, I want to give credit to Jeff Duncan, Times-Picayune, who posted this up here after the ball game. The Saints just finished 2 road games. They played at Atlanta for the win, against the Giants on the road for the win. In 23 possessions, 8 touchdowns, 7 field goals, 6 punts, and then the other 2 possessions were kneel downs at the end of the game to seal the game. So I guess when you're looking at balance, yes, especially today, you had all those field goals, and we should admit at least 2 of those should have been touchdowns like we just talked about. But you're talking about success on a better part of 60-65% of the possessions on the 2 road games, and they're both wins.
Just the efficiency is mind-boggling when you're talking about playing road games in the NFL against 2 really good teams and having those offensive stats. I think it says a lot. We talk about Drew all the time about his touchdowns and his passing yards, but I've always marveled in his passing efficiency. And just not only Drew's efficiency, but now you talk about the running game, efficiently moving the sticks, moving the ball down the field and getting points. We like touchdowns, but hey, you're getting points, and points are going to add up in the end, especially on the road.
And as we mentioned, you're showing that balance in the fact that no touchdown passes today for him, but you're 3-0 the last 3 games that he had that, so they're finding other ways to score, and certainly Kamara has been a big part of that. So Taysom Hill gets on the field, and I found it interesting. You made some comments to us as we were watching the game this afternoon. You start to wonder early, are they trying to force the Taysom Hill aspect a little too much? Because we talked about him this morning, we talked about him last week. He can be a special player, but almost like when you see him on the field, it almost kind of alerts you, all right, something's about to happen because he's on the field again.
He's absolutely exciting. He can do so many different things. You're talking about a guy who returns kicks. He runs fake punts. He can probably punt. He can probably kick off. He can do everything, and he's exciting when he's on the field. And I don't want to sound like I want to take anything away from him, but there comes a time where how much do you put him in? Are you disrupting the flow of your normal offense? Is that causing you to kick field goals instead of score touchdowns when you're inside the 20? But when he's on the field, you look at these plays, it's a different dynamic that teams aren't ready for. I think he shocks a lot of people with his athleticism and his speed, because when he turns that corner, he runs by a lot of defensive backs who are trying to tackle him. So he adds an element to the game. It's just, as a coach, you have to say, how much can we put him in? How much can we sprinkle him in? Because you're taking the ball out of number 9's hands.
Right, and exactly. And to your point about that, and you heard him mention it with Mike when he said for a moment how much he loves being on the field. One thing we see from him that we don't see from Drew, when he's running, you're right, with his size, you're surprised at how fast he is and how powerful he is, because we've seen him on the kick returns and on runs today. He'll take a hit and he'll lean in and actually issue the contact with the defender as well, something you're not used to seeing from somebody who's supposed to be the quarterback.
Yeah, and as a linebacker, I equate it to a running back. You see a lot of 2 running back systems in the NFL. You see a big bruising running back and a small shifty running back. It's hard as a defender to adjust your style to different guys coming in and out of the game. So I can imagine for a defender to go against a quarterback, it's even more impossible. You go against a guy who can make all the throws. Drew's pretty athletic himself, but Taysom obviously has elite speed. You're talking about today, I didn't realize they said in the telecast, he has the 3rd fastest 40-yard dash time ever for any quarterback, right up there with Mike Vick. So he has elite speed, and that adds another dimension to the offense.
Certainly, we highlighted the plays when he was in there. Certainly some exciting ones, especially the play that Scott focused on, that fake punt. He's the one that made that pass and kept that drive alive. We take it back to the Meadowlands now. Of course, our Hall of Fame teammate Deuce McAllister was there on the scene as he had the call on the Saints radio network, and as he always does on each and every road game, stopped by to talk to Mike Neighbors afterwards to share his thoughts on the big Saints win.
All right, guys, here in the Meadowlands, Deuce McAllister joins me. Big Saints victory, kind of the tale of two halves, though. In the first half, a lot of red zone woes, a lot of third down woes. They turned the corner in the second half, though.
They were able to turn the corner. I don't know if that defense got tired or, it was just the turnovers, but Taysom Hill played a big part in that. And his ability to be able to change whether it's short yardage or whether it's just a wrinkle play. Teams are having a hard time stopping him, and he's making plays for this unit. But you saw some other guys step up, too. You know what Alvin Kamara can give you. You saw them shade or at least draw coverage to Michael Thomas, but other players stepped up. And what I'm interested to see if they can continue to step up with this team starting to roll a little bit.
Kamara, not as many touches as a week ago, so many a week ago, but boy, he made the most of his touches in this game. Career highs in yardage and on the ground and 3 touchdowns. How impressed were you by the way he just seemed to get better as the game progressed?
Well, he really got better, and I thought that offensive line really got better for him as well. They were getting 5-7 yards a clip on running yards, and obviously we know the big 49-yarder there at the end. He just was able to find a hole, and I think that was impressive for him to continue to grow as that player. He gets a good buddy back next week, and I think that's only going to take some of that pressure off. And it's going to change the dynamic of that team a little bit because now they know they can lean on the running game to be able to be productive for them.
Along those same lines, I just talked to Michael Thomas in the locker room. He needs some pressure taken off of him, and Mark Ingram's going to help in that regard, and with Alvin Kamara. You've had a chance to talk to Mark Ingram. How hungry is he to get back?
He's very hungry, and the one thing that I don't want him to be is just so overly anxious to try to make a play and, make up for 4 weeks of missed work in 1 week or one play. So for him, just take what the defense gives you. You're going to play a really, really good front next week against Washington, but there will be some opportunities. We saw Cameron Meredith make a few plays today, and so I'm looking for Traquan. He got a couple targets, no catches, but he's going to continue to come on, and Ted Ginn Jr. is going to give you that deep over-the-top threat. So this team is coming along.
You touched on Taysom Hill, Deuce. You played in the NFL for a long time. Can you imagine being a guy who returns a kick for the first time in an NFL game, a special teams tackle, and then in one game, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, and it's just every week it's something else, and it's a big play too.
It's almost like you're playing 8-man football, but this is really the NFL 8-man football form where he rarely comes off the field. The only thing left for him to do is line up as a safety or cornerback, as so many people have wanted, or blitz the passer, and he's just a phenomenal player, and they're continuing to expand his role in that offense. He lines up at quarterback, he lines up at running back, he lines up at the H-back. He can do a lot of different things, and teams have to prepare for it.
This team lost its first game of the year, but now they're 3-1 heading into Monday Night Football, and they're atop the NFC South. How do you feel about this football team now after a quarter of the season?
They're growing. They're a work in progress, really. Because there's still some things that they can do really, really better as far as the unit is concerned, and I think that special teams, defense, and offensively. You look at the red zone woes, they can get better. First half 0 for 4, first half 1 for 8 in third down category, so they can get better, and if they are going to get better, defensively and not allow the big play, scary good team.
We'll see what happens coming up Monday Night Football. This is Deuce McAllister. Back to you guys. We're here in the Meadowlands.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll be back there in just a moment. Let's focus a little bit on the defense. And one of the keys this morning from our Saints Game Day show, we talked about Saquon Barkley, #2 overall pick. First 3 games of the season for the Giants, Scott, he had better than 20 touches when you look at rushing and receiving combined. So first game this season happened today where he did not reach the 20-touch mark in the ballgame. Yes, he had 100 total yards, but that was one of your keys, and the Saints were able to focus on him because he's been one of those solid up-and-comers while the offense for the Giants is still trying to figure itself out.
Yeah, he's got special ability. There's a reason why he was the #2 pick in the draft, and he is the focal point of this Giants offense. So that's why he was the key to today's game and the defense stopping him. I think the one thing the defense did well, besides that first drive, is they didn't get behind to the point where they could just keep turning around and handing off to Saquon Barkley. They made Eli Manning throw the ball throughout the game because they were playing good defense. And the one thing I think that the defense did better than anything that they've done this year is not letting the ball go over their head. You didn't see deep plays. You didn't see deep bombs because those plays are demoralizing to your defense and demoralizing to your team, and they did a good job keeping the ball in front of them.
So Barkley had a rough afternoon because the Saints forced him to do that. Yes, he had 100 total yards, but not nearly the yardage balance that we've seen all season. In fact, we saw that one play he had earlier in the game when we were showing you the highlights when he did get out to the left side, that 28-yarder, and after that, that was the majority of his big yards. He had to get them in small chunks. You just mentioned about Eli Manning and the passing, and I thought the broadcast focused on this. It was very interesting. I think it was somewhere in the third quarter. They were showing the drop back from Eli Manning, but all of his drops, it was very quick. 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds for release, but his ball was only going 6 yards, 8 yards, maybe 9 yards. And to your point, he wasn't able to go deep. We mentioned it this morning. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback who has the talent, but New York's offense is still trying to find itself. But the defense today, it was able to put that pressure on Manning where he wasn't able to drop back 5-7 steps and really kind of evaluate everything. If they did, they were getting the pressure on him.
All 3 phases. You talk about the secondary, the linebacker core, and the defensive line. They all did their job today. Defensive line got pressure on Manning throughout the day. Dennis Allen brought blitzes, timely blitzes. You see here, Demario Davis adding on to his pressure, adding on to his man-to-man coverage, and gets pressure on Manning. Manning doesn't have that elite arm strength. He's getting older. He doesn't have that ball down the field. He's got receivers that throw the ball down the field, but he doesn't have that arm strength. So he's going to dink and dunk, and this defense did a great job of knowing that and putting pressure on him, keeping the ball in front of him, making the 5-yard tackle, and living to play another down.
And that last play you saw was a perfect example of it because it started to collapse on him real quick. He didn't know what to do, so he just had to get rid of it and threw it into the ground. Well, one of the big players that had a part of that, Demario Davis, 11 tackles on the day. He had 2 sacks of Manning and 1 post-game interview with our Mike Neighbors.
All right, man of the hour here on Saints defense, Demario Davis, Saints linebacker. Boy, nice homecoming for you. Couldn't have asked for a much better game.
Yeah, I mean, we come in, our goals are stop the run, stop the pass, get off the field on third down, be good in the red zone, create takeaways defensively, and anytime we do that, we're going to be all right.
2 big sacks in the second half, especially the one on third down. Take me through that play.
I think Coach called the play. We had somebody in position to open up a lane, and when that guy opened up a lane, I was able to come through and get a hit on the quarterback.
This defense, it's been through its ups and downs so far this season, but what does this effort mean for you guys moving forward now?
It was just a good week, where we was able to do our goals. Our goals was stop the run, stop the pass, get off the field on third down, create takeaways, red zone, get on the quarterback. We was able to do our goals today, and so we do our goals, we'll be successful.
Mario, I saw after the game, Sean Payton walked up to you, gave you a big hug. How did that feel? And that must have been a great part of the celebration.
Yeah, he's a great head coach, man. Major respect for Sean, man. The way he keeps us all on the same page, keep us, driven, keep us on this journey, man, and it's good to play for a coach like that.
Finally, what does it mean? You played a lot of games in here in a different uniform, but to win with your new team and to be 3-1 right now.
Yeah, we got a good team, man, and we know we do our goals each week. Defensively, we'll be successful, and that's all we focus on. Stop the run, get off the field on third down. Be good in the red zone, create takeaways. We do that, we'll be successful.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, man. God bless.
Great game by Saints linebacker Demario Davis. Spent a lot of time in a Jets uniform, but this time, pretty big game in the Saints uniform. Back to you guys.
Mike, thanks so much. Coming up, his half speed is faster than your fastest speed. A smooth day for Alvin Kamara. We're actually going to look ahead 2 weeks to a bye. How does that tie in? We'll explain. And we'll also take a look around the NFC South and the big day in Atlanta that went down to the final seconds with the Bengals. Certainly a lot to feel good about in this Saints win over New York to get to 3-1 in the season, but as we all know all too well, coaches will always look for the little things they can improve on. We talked about it last night with LSU. Ed Ogeron in the postgame talking about some things that disappointed him, even though they hung 45 on the board. Why? Because he knows he missed 2 touchdowns and could have hung 60 on Ole Miss. Well, if we have to look at some of that on the other side for the Saints this afternoon against the Giants, it goes back to a little bit of what we focused on when we took the break during the first 2 quarters of highlights. The missed opportunities. Will Lutz was clutch today, and you needed him making all those field goals, but boy, the Saints seem to leave a lot more on the field, even though they had a very nice win today.
They're going to be frustrated with this, and coaches get frustrated with these types of things because they look at games down the road, games against maybe better opponents, that this will come back and bite you. You get in the red zone that many times, you can't kick 4 field goals in the second quarter. You're hoping to come away with maybe a 50-50 and score 2 touchdowns, especially when you had opportunities, ball in a guy's hands, 2 drops. You want to come away with touchdowns in those situations because it wasn't anything the defense did. It was more you did it to yourself.
Put him on position. This is the one with Taysom Hill's pass that you see goes just over the reach of Kamara, and then they would come right back with Breeze at quarterback, and he'd have with Benjamin Watson right there, and here's the play here. Watson comes to the right side, and it looked from all angles, it seemed like a touchdown until he hit the ground, and then it dropped out of his mitts, and then you wind up having to bring Lutz back in to kick.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where the coach can say, hey, we got to make this play. I know Landon Collins, to me, he's one of the best safeties in the league. He played outstanding today, did a nice job of coverage, but you have to come down with that ball. It's in games that are going to be against better competition, playoff, tighter games for divisional games, those points are going to matter, and that's what every coach thinks about is games down the road. This is going to matter.
When you were talking about Breeze and actually that last miss, even though it was a miss and a drop by Watson, Breeze put that ball in one place only, that only one person could even get his hands on it. That's why you really want to come down with that catch. But all that said and done, the Saints do wind up getting the victory. You take a look at the final numbers from today's game at the Meadowlands and how they put it all together. Almost 100 yards exactly better for the Saints and the Giants in terms of total yards. And then we talked about that balance, and once again, that 170, so much of that thanks to Alvin Kamara. But in the overall scheme, the balance in today's game still shows the balance that the Saints, what got them to 3-1 on the season.
Yeah, and that's why I said earlier in the show, I see a lot of similarities in this team ascending week by week, just like they did last year, because they're starting to run the ball a lot better. They're playing better defense week by week and not turning the ball over. There's a lot of things numbers-wise. This game probably could have been 50-18 the way the Saints played. So they're going to be frustrated with some things, but hey, when you're starting to run the ball and you're starting to play good defense, any coach in the league will take that.
By the way, check it out on the screen. You see the 5 penalties. Remember what I told you at halftime? 5 penalties. So they played a clean second half.
Better.
Didn't have any of those penalties that cost them anything, but that red zone, the 2 of 6 opportunities. And with some of those missed opportunities, well, it came down to Will Lutz, who on a rare day had 6 opportunities, though only 4 counted because one, the clock ran out. One was one of those penalties that backed him up. Forget about always kicking after just the regular touchdowns. His afternoon, a little extra work, but he'll take the credit where it's due to help the Saints get the win, and he talked about that with Mike after the game.
All right, guys, Saints kicker Will Lutz joining me. Red zone was kind of plaguing the offense, but you bailed him out. 6 field goals, but only 4 counted, huh?
Yeah, 6-4, I'll take those odds. But yeah, I mean, they made it easy. I mean, yeah, we didn't punch it in for touchdowns, but when you get the ball that close, I do the easy part. So it's fine with me. I mean, the important part is we got the points.
How does that distract you when you make a field goal, then you got to do it again? You had to do it twice.
Yeah, you know, one thing we always talk about is you never want to give a kicker a practice kick, and that's what we talk about with icing the kicker. You know, in my opinion, you give me a kick before another kick, it's just 2 kicks back to back, and you know you get a rhythm. And I think the second kick on both kicks was a better kick anyway. So, and we always say don't give us a practice kick because it helps us.
You've only missed 1 field goal this year. You're on quite a roll. Just talk about how much more comfortable you are. You're just another year in the NFL now.
Yeah, let's knock on wood with that one. But no, it's just swinging with confidence. I'm comfortable with my unit. You know, we've worked together for 2 years now, and it's just in the first couple of years, you know, I wasn't really swinging with confidence. It was like don't screw up. And now it's just go out there and do what I do. And you know, with these 2 guys, Thomas and Zach, it's so easy, and it's easy to swing with confidence right now. And you know, I think just being in the 3rd year, it helps a lot. Yeah.
Is this wood right here? I'll do a little luck on wood there. Okay. All right. With Will Lutz, Saints kicker, 6 of 4 here in the Meadowlands. Back to you guys.
All right, Mike, thanks. We'll come back to you there in just a moment. If he keeps performing like he's doing right now, I feel like I have to do this each and every show. Tennessee Volunteers, what were you thinking without having just been on the field more than what he's doing? And kudos to the Saints for getting Alvin Kamara because he is obviously taking the NFL by storm with what he did last year and then what he did today. Look, we've talked about the first 4 games. I mentioned it this morning. All this movement during the midweek with releasing a running back and picking up another running back, Scott, to me, it's all a smokescreen because we know we're going to this guy. And then when you see days like he had today, It's like, all right, I get it.
Oh, we could dedicate the whole entire hour to Alvin Kamara with his plays that he had today in a game. And the one thing about it, you see week by week, it's hard to take him off the field. We talked about when week 1 with Mark being out, how much will they be able to play him? You have to keep him on the field because of the plays he makes and his dynamic ability. And there's no reason to have him stand on the sideline because when he's on the field, he can score at any point he touches the ball, and there's not many guys like that in the NFL.
I mean, look at him find this hole, and then it's just like he's jogging, and there's literally 4 guys in blue jerseys chasing him, and they can't catch him, and he gets to the end zone. So, look, I know coaches always want to focus on the next game, and let's admit that the next game is a Monday night game against Washington. Then they have the bye week. So let me throw this out here at you. You've got Mark Ingram coming back, so we'll see him for the first time against the Redskins. And you've had Kamara doing what he's doing. Yes, there was all the talk about how do you conserve him, how do you bring other running backs to help him, how do you fill the void with Mark Ingram, and he's really hitting a peak right now, despite the fact he's been shouldering the load. Is the bye week, and let me set up one other thing. Yeah. Training camps are different than they used to be, right?
Yes.
So a lot of guys, early bye week, oh man, we rest our body. So that's different. But all that being said, does the bye week come at a good time for Alvin Kamara, having shouldered the load for the first 4 games? You'll get one with Mark and then a break with some rest? Or would you rather see that bye week maybe come a few weeks later so you can get these two back in a rhythm together?
If you're looking at it from an individual player standpoint, I absolutely think it's at a perfect time for Alvin. He's carried the ball more than he probably did at any point last year in that stretch because he had help with Mark. But when Mark comes back, they're going to have to ease him into this thing. You got to get into playing shape, and the only way to do that is through game reps. So he's not going to come back and be a 20-carry guy. He's going to be 5 to 10 touches and ease back in. But from a team standpoint, and you hit on it perfect, training camp is much different now than it used to be. Training camp used to be pretty brutal. August in itself was a season. So we always wanted bye weeks early in the season, get refreshed. Now we can finish for the stretch run. Now training camps are 1 practice a day and then a walkthrough. So these guys like to see the bye week come maybe mid-season so they can get rested up for the final run.
And one other reason I bring that is just remember, he's also top 3 in receiving right now in the league, let alone what he's been doing with carries. He's one of the best receiving, but he's a big reason why the Saints got the win today and are sitting at 3-1 through the first 4 games of the year. We take it back to the Meadowlands because Mike caught up with 41.
Our guys had some issues in the red zone on 3rd down in the first half. How good did it feel to put some drives together in that second half?
I mean, it feels great. Like I said earlier, I mean, with Drew at the helm, I mean, he brings calmness into the huddle and just tells us to stay the course and go 1 play at a time, 1 drive at a time. So, you know, I mean, that's the kind of the identity of this team. We're resilient, and I mean, we don't lose focus. We just keep going.
You've had some big days in the Saints uniform. How does this one stack up?
I mean, it was the next one. Now we moving on. You know, I mean, 24-hour rule, I guess. But I mean, I'm already looking the next week. You know, we got more football to play. We got another game, another opponent.
Carried the load the last month. You'll get your man Mark Ingram back next week. How's that going to be?
Free Mark. I talked to him before the game. He'll probably be at the airport when we land. But you know, it just feels good to know he served us 4 and he's gonna be back. It's about to get ugly.
Alvin Kamara, big day here in the Meadowlands. He's going to have his buddy Mark Ingram back on Monday Night Football against the Redskins next week. Back to you guys in the studio.
Mike, thanks. Yeah, it might get ugly with Ingram coming back and Kamara playing the way he's playing. And, oh, by the way, Monday night could be a somewhat historic night, if you will, for one number 9. He stops and talks to Mike when we come back on Saints Tonight. That's how many different players Drew Brees targeted today. Yes, there were a few that got a couple of targets with no catches, but Alvin Kamara got targeted 9 times. I just talked about the fact that what he's been doing as a receiver as well, and he ranks in the top 3 in the NFL. He had 9 targets. Can't guard Mike. He had 4 targets, caught all 4, but 11. So we're 4 games in, and now we're seeing once again how Drew Brees is finding players at the moments that he wants, and is just spreading the wealth, and anybody at any time can be a target.
That's what makes defending this offense so hard. Seeing it for 7 years every day in practice, and then seeing this team. They're always ranked in the top 3. You're usually number 1 in offense every year, and it's because obviously you have a guy like Sean Payton calling the plays, a franchise quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback in Drew Brees. But it's hard to defend everybody, and they do a great job of getting everybody involved. And I've said before, as a defense, you can only take so much away. And when you line up against the Saints, they're going to make you pay for whoever you do take away because they have all sorts of options. If you take away the first, second option, they'll go 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And that's what's always been so difficult about defending this offense.
If you join us a little late, the numbers for Drew Brees, 18 of 32 for 217 yards, but no no touchdown passes, but that's okay. The last 3 times, twice last year, and then today, no touchdowns in the game. The Saints won all 3. Big win today, sets up what could be a little bit of history next Monday night against the Skins. For more on that and a look back at the win today, we take it back to the Middlelands, and as he always does, Drew Brees stopped to talk to Mike Neighbors.
All right, guys, Drew Brees joins us here in the Meadowlands every week, a different kind of tempo in a game. I know the first half weren't happy with the red zone and the third down, but the second half, you guys really flipped the switch.
Yeah, I think we found our rhythm in the second half. Listen, we had 4 red zone opportunities in the first half and only came up with 4 field goals. You know, so you really got to get touchdowns. You know. We know that, and so just a couple miscues here and there, them just making good plays. But man, found that rhythm in the second half. 3 touchdowns, 2 in the fourth. You know, needing to put together drives and convert third downs and score points when we did, and just great way to cap it off with, you know, the guys up front really taking that challenge on, you know, in that 4-minute drive, and Alvin busting one for a touchdown.
Alvin, huge workload in Atlanta a week ago, but comes back and has a career day, rushing 3 touchdowns. I mean, can you say enough about what he's done? I mean, he's had a lot of big days in a Saints uniform, but this is one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, can't say enough about him. You know, just the type of player he is, and just his approach, you know, from the work week to game day, you know, just, man, he's so steady, and I love being out there with him, obviously. He can do a lot of things for us, and he showed that tonight.
Michael Thomas, a record-setting first 3 games in the NFL, but it took a while to find him in this game. Why was it hard to find him? Were they doing something with him? Or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm going to look at the tape, but I can think of a couple opportunities where, man, ball should have gone his way, or, you know, and I think we anticipated that they would be trying to take him away, take Alvin away, which they did in a lot of cases early, and the ball was going other places. I think we, you know, threw it to 11 guys today, you know, so like kind of a pick your poison. You know, we felt like there were opportunities elsewhere, and some of the plays we made, some we didn't. I definitely think there's more meat on the bone there, but you know, we got to go in the second half.
I mentioned Alvin Kamara. I mentioned Mike Thomas. Having Mark Ingram back for Monday Night Football next week, how's that going to help you, Mike Thomas, Kamara, the whole offense?
I mean, it helps everyone. You know, he's obviously such a productive player, you know, but, man, he just gives you some more juice, you know. Does a lot in the run game, pass game protection. You love him in the locker room and in practice and you know, in the tunnel. And, I mean, just everything about Mark. You know, he's one of the most loved, highly respected guys on the team. And we missed him the last 4 weeks, you know. Gotten by without him. But, man, it's going to be nice to get him back in the fold.
All right, it's a broken record, but it's a good broken record. The Taysom Hill factor each week. I mean, you're lining up wide. He's playing wide receiver, running back, quarterback, and he's making impact plays. And it really keeps the defenses guessing because every week is something different. I mean, how impressed are you by his contributions every week here?
I'm really impressed. You know, I can't say enough about Taysom. The quality individual he is and the quality player, and just the guy who's willing to do anything and everything to help this team win. And I see that package continuing to grow. You know, started off with just a couple run plays here and there, and now we got him throwing passes and catching passes and doing all kinds of stuff. So he can be a game changer. There's no question.
2 more questions. You guys lost the first game of the year, have reeled off 3 straight. How would you evaluate this team after a quarter of play now?
You know, I think the last 3 weeks have been encouraging just to win some of the games the way we have, you know, kind of coming back against Cleveland and getting the job done there, fourth quarter. And obviously last week's game at Atlanta, you know, tough divisional opponent on the road going into OT. You know, today's victory, which was just a great team win, you know, kind of, you know, call it, you know, not our best football in the first half, but then really pulling it together in the second half, fourth quarter to run away. You know, here we are 3-1, having won 3 in a row, getting Mark back, getting an extra day to get healthy this week, getting ready for Monday Night Football, but no greater challenge than the Redskins coming to town. But back in the Dome Monday Night Football, you know, doesn't get any better than that.
Last question. I know the win against Washington on Monday night to improve to 4-1, that's paramount. That's the first priority. But you know the NFL scheduled this game to put it in the spotlight for you to potentially break Peyton Manning's passing yardage record. How important is that to you? And I know the win and all that, but you're going to be asked about that all week, and that's got to be a big importance for you, a big record for you, obviously.
Listen, it's huge, but it does not change my approach, my process throughout the week, my mindset, or anything. Just playing the game to make great decisions, playing the game to win, put us in the best position to succeed, and all that other stuff takes care of itself.
I knew he'd say that, but I had to ask the question anyway, right? Okay, all right.
All good.
Good game. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Drew Brees here in the Meadowlands. Back to you guys.
Mike, we all knew his answer. You knew that was coming, but you also know the drama that will be there. So just think now, Mark Ingram comes back, Monday Night Football, Drew Brees about to set a record that you didn't know if it would be touched. You think the Dome's going to be lit Monday night or what against the Redskins? So here's the updated total. He needs 201 yards to get there and be able to pass Peyton Manning. Something tells me, Scott, there's going to be an opportunity for he's going to need 48 yards. He's going to hit on a 52-yard touchdown or something to break the record.
Yeah, it'll be a special night, and I'm sure it'll be a big type of play that'll set it. The way he plays on Monday night in prime time, it might happen in the second quarter against the Redskins, but I can't wait to witness it. It's going to be a great night, special night. And you heard Drew. I'm glad Drew answered Mike's question and said it's big, it's huge, because it is a huge accomplishment. There's a lot of little kids out there who never think they'd see the day where they would break a record like this, and I'm sure Drew never thought he would even be in this position to do it.
And you know what he'll do? Hold up the football, wave to the crowd, and then get right back to a drive and complain about a third down that wasn't converted or something like that. But it should be fun. When we come back, you know the Fitzmagic down there in Tampa, how'd that work out for the Bucs today? They were playing Chicago. Well, did he start? Jameis Winston? You know what? Against the Bears, it didn't matter. This was a runaway. We'll be back to wrap things up on Saints Tonight after this. Hey, let's start our look around the NFC. We will go up to Chicago. There's Jameis Winston. He is back after missing the first 3 games of the season for suspension. But the quarterback of the day was Mitchell Trubisky. He was the story. 39-yard touchdown pass here to Trey Burton. And the Bears take an early 7-0 lead. Tampa, defense, line 2. Where were you? Nice completion, nice touchdown, and he's just getting started. Trubisky's second touchdown pass, Allen Robinson. This is good for 14 yards. Now, in Trubisky's career, he's never had more than 2 touchdowns in a single game. He has 2 already in the first quarter, and it's 14-0 Chicago. He would finish with 6. Second half, Tampa Bay switches, goes to Jameis Winston. Why? Because Fitzmagic was Fitz horrible. Jameis starts the second half down 38-3. Jameis got picked off. Trubisky throws 6 touchdowns. Fitz 9 of 12 for 126 yards. Dirk Cutter afterwards with the quote of the game, quote of the day. We should all be fired, including me. Bengals and the Falcons. We go to Atlanta, where they're hosting Cincinnati. First quarter, Andy Dalton back to pass out of the shotgun, 15 yards out. Great pass, left corner, wide open, touchdown. Bengals were down 7-0 at that point, but they tie it up at 7. In the second quarter, now Cincinnati is up 14-7. Just over 11 minutes to go. Matt Ryan to Logan Paulson, 17 yards. He's wide open. We're tied at 14. Later in the second, Dalton to John Ross. Now, you not remember the name John Ross. He's the guy with the fastest 40 time ever at the Combine. 39-yard touchdown. Oh, boy, looks like he might have come up, pulled up a little groin. But he gets the touchdown, 21-14 Cincy. Fourth quarter, Calvin Ridley, there's that man again, wide open for the 30-yard touchdown. It's 33-28. That's a 5-point lead, and Cincinnati has the ball. 12 seconds to go. Bengals down. Dalton, the former Georgia Bulldog, A.J. Green. 13 yards on the completion and the touchdown. It's Cincinnati's first win in Atlanta since 1987. Julio Jones, 9 catches, 173 yards, but not enough as Atlanta falls to 1-3 with the Cincinnati win. So at the quarter pole, well, what do you know? Carolina had the bye week this week, so they sit at 2-1. But after that 0-1 start, the Saints have reeled off 3 straight. They now sit on top of the division. After that impressive win for Tampa Bay to start the year, they've gone 1-2. Now they don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. Their head coach is saying they should all be fired. Fun times down there in Tampa as we sit 4 games into the season. But as we know, things can change rapidly, and they will as we get ready for the second quarter of the season. So as we get ready now, the Saints, 2 impressive road wins, come home for the Monday nighter against Washington, and then the bye week. Yes, there are going to be some distractions. Mark Ingram coming back. Does he try to overdo it, making his first return or his debut of the season at home? Drew Brees, we know he is so mentally focused and robotic. We know it means a lot to him. It will mean the least to him on Monday night. Washington comes in now. They're 2-1. They have wins over Arizona and Green Bay. Their one loss came to Indianapolis. Alex Smith is now the quarterback. And, oh, by the way, their star at the running back position, Adrian Peterson, who spent some time here in New Orleans. So the biggest thing for the Saints, knowing that Ingram is back, there's this looming NFL unbelievable record for Drew Brees, but you want to try to make it 3 wins in a row now for the Saints So what do you do?
The one thing about this Washington team is you can't take them lightly. You talk about Alex Smith. He's been referenced to as a game manager most of his career, but he's really played some really good football. He went to Kansas City. Andy Reid hasn't playing good football. He's carried that onto Washington. Adrian Peterson, he couldn't even get on the field with the Saints, but he's been a heck of a player for the Washington Redskins. They signed him at the deadline because they lost their running back, so he's provided a spark to their running game, and they're playing better defensively. So this Washington Redskins team, they're going to come down the dome. Nobody's going to give them a chance to win. They're going to use that as a chip on their shoulder. So the Saints team's going to have to be ready to play that night because the Redskins, I know what they're going to say in their locker room. Let's spoil this night. Everybody's making this night about Drew Brees and the record, and if we can do anything, let's come out of there with a win to leave a sour taste in the Saints' mouth.
And of course, 3 wins, and 4 wins, and the Saints sitting at 3-1. So with the Saints playing on Monday Night Football, Scott and I will see you Saturday night for LSU tonight to recap the Tigers and the Florida Gators. We won't be here Sunday, but we'll see you Monday as we get you set for kickoff on Saints game day Monday evening. Mike Neighbors will join us from the Dome, and then, of course, as soon as the Saints game is over with the Redskins next Monday night, we'll invite you to flip right over here as we'll have our late night edition of Saints Tonight to wrap up the Saints and the Redskins. Ingram's debut. Drew Brees, does he get the record? When does he do it? All the celebration that could be there. We'll be here to have it with you. So we thank you for spending your Saints game day on this weekend with us. For Mike Neighbors and Deuce McAllister in the Meadowlands, and Scott Shanley, I'm Victor Howell. We'll look forward to seeing you next Monday night for the Saints and Redskins. Until then, good night from CST.